Hey everyone, it's JT. Welcome to my live webinar today called Pushing Back on Ageism. How to age proof your job search. Can't even read my own stuff. It's so good to see you all here. How's everybody doing? It's been a while since I've done a LinkedIn Live, and I felt like this was the topic that I needed to do to announce that I'm going to be coming back here on a regular basis. I want to thank all of you in advance because you really spoke to us on our social media, especially here on LinkedIn, about the challenges that you feel that you're facing with ageism, and the amount of age discrimination that we feel we're seeing out there right now in the job search. So thank you for your honesty, for being vulnerable and sharing your frustration so openly on social media. I'm excited today to take 30 minutes to take you through some information that I think is going to shed a lot of light on the subject and walk you through exactly what you need to do in order to age-proof that job search. I'm going to give you some resources, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the time taking your questions and doing everything I can to give you those answers. So I'm just going to ask that you hold the questions to the end. I'll let you know when it's time for questions, and I'll get right at those. But for now, I want to get into this information because I think it's vital that people, over the age of 40 who feel that age discrimination is playing a factor in their job search need to hear this information. It's really, really important that you hear it. So I'm going to get right into it if that's good with everyone, okay? Excellent. All right. So let me make this a little bigger too on the screen. That way I think we can make sure that you're seeing everything over there. All right. So first thing I want to tell you is that why am I qualified to give you this advice, okay? Besides the fact that I'll be 54 in May. So I understand, and this age group, I'm with all of you. But, for the last 20 years, I have been a career coach. And prior to that, I was a staffing industry executive. And I watched us place people and got to see, had to, ringside seat as to who got placed and who didn't. So I understand what's going on because for every one person that got placed, there were hundreds that didn't. And I actually became a career coach because I saw that a lot of people didn't understand what was happening, what was going on in the hiring process. And if I could give that information to people, they could do better in job interviews. They could make things happen in their career that they want to have happen. So, this isn't something we were taught in school for starters. So nobody should feel bad about not knowing this stuff. And the other thing is that it's constantly evolving. I mean, just look at what happened to us in the last 2 years with the pandemic and all this crazy stuff that's happening. And we're going to dive into a little bit of data around that. So if anything, I want you to realize that, it's a lifelong pursuit in your career, no matter what age you are, to constantly gain knowledge and evolve so that you can, make happen what you want to make happen in your career. It's a constant process. And people often say to me, well, I know that, JT, but do you? But do you though? Are you really thinking about it? And I think that's one of the things I want you to be honest with yourself about in terms of when we get to a certain age, we sort of rest on what we know. Change is not all that fun. We don't really feel like going back to school unless we're really excited about it. And I'm sorry, but a lot of people just don't seem to be overly excited about learning about career growth and career strategy. And I think that's part of the challenge. We kind of believe that we should hit a point where we don't have to put in so much energy. And the truth is you are going to have to put in energy, but if you stick with me, I'll show you how to do it smarter, not harder. So with that in mind, today I'm going to focus on teaching you what you need to know using the GLOW method. So the GLOW method is something that I invented 20 years ago. It was in my very first book. And I'm an engineer by degree. I was raised by an engineer as well. So I'm a process person. I like logic. I don't like warm fuzzy. I like, give me something I can do. But I feel like the GLOW method blends coaching and that science or that math or logic kind of aspect, because I'm going to show you that this process, anytime you want to improve a situation in any aspect of your life, really, you can follow this process consistently to get results. And if you're not getting results, you should come back to this process and say, where did I not follow through? Because again, in 20 years of doing this, if someone really works the GLOW method with me and goes through the process and internalizes every step, they get results. They get results, right? To me, this is science. This is 20 years working with thousands of people. So today we're going to go through, when it comes to age-proofing your job search and dealing with age discrimination, gaining perspective, we're going to illuminate the goal, we're going to own your actions, and we're going to work it daily. And as you can imagine, the name of my company is Work It Daily, the fourth step in my process, because it is the most critical and also the hardest to do. So the good news is I'll give you some resources around how you can do that. Okay. All right. So there's the framework. That's why I think that I'm qualified to work with you all today. So let's start with gaining perspective. We're going to open up our minds a little bit, and we're going to start with data and a new way of looking what's happening out there in the job market. So first of all, 40 million people quit their jobs last year. In 2021, we had the most ever number of quits in a single year documented. For as long as they've been documenting quitting in a single year, this is the year where the most amount of people quit, and shouldn't surprise us. In fact, I think I read somewhere that we're still having like unbelievable millions of people still quitting month over month right now. That shouldn't surprise us. I feel like the pandemic was a tipping point moment that has been brewing for a really long time. For decades, we've been looking at Gallup polls that say 70% of the workforce is disengaged, that people are unhappy. I became a career coach 21 years ago because I saw how unhappy people were, and the problem still isn't fixed. And it's because, as we learned through the pandemic, we may not have our priorities right. So a lot of people are saying, gee, I want to work. I want to have purpose in my work. I want to have more control over how I work. This isn't new. It's just that this tipping point made it such a realization for so many people. Now, what you hear in the media, though, and this is a different thing I want you to think about with this data, is that, well, it's the best job market ever, right? So there's all these open positions. 40 million people left jobs they didn't like. There are a lot of jobs out there that people don't want. And so all of you that are on here today, that's the first thing I need you to think about. It's not a job seekers market out there right now. In fact, and this is what people don't understand, this is the most competitive job market in history. Competitive. Everyone's looking. Even if they have a job, they're passively looking. This is a crazy time to be looking for work. So there's lots of competition out there for the jobs that you want. Now, if you're willing to take the job nobody wants, not a problem. But there's a reason everybody left bad jobs. So those coveted jobs are highly competitive. So when people say to me, gee, JT, I've been applying to jobs and I'm just getting automatically rejected, it must be age discrimination. I got to challenge you a little bit on that. I have to be the person that says, okay, but are we looking at the marketplace right now? And the fact that everybody's looking for work. So that's the first thing that I need you to think about when we gain perspective on this, okay? Now, the second thing that I want to show you is called the pyramid of job fit. So if we say that it's age discrimination, we know the problem is you can't change your age. Age is a number that cannot be changed. You are what you are. I tend to tell people that, okay, we know age is a factor, but let's also think about experience, because there's something called the wisdom tax. And that is, the older you get and the more experience you have, the more that is expected of you. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, they expect you to know exactly what you want to do for work. They expect you to know your specialty, what makes you unique. They expect you to be really great at providing value and knowing how to articulate that value. And they're expecting you to know what you want to do next and know how to package that all up and sell it perfectly. Now, you might be thinking, but I do, JT. Well, we'll get back to that in a minute. Here's, again, the thing that you need to think about that nobody thinks about in this moment. Job availability is like a pyramid. When you have no experience, there's a ton of jobs out there for no experience. There are a ton of jobs that you can go out and get right now, hourly jobs that don't require experience. As you started to gain more experience in your life, right, gaining that wisdom tax, the number of jobs that you were a fit for, meaning like an exact fit, got smaller and smaller and smaller. So as you gain experience, folks, that we think that it should open up, right? We're taught that, oh, you'll gain more experience and you'll be available for more jobs. There's a small window where that gets really attractive in the middle third, top middle third of the pyramid, right? Where you got out of the hourly stuff, you started to get into some decent paying stuff, and it was good. But then you kept going. And as you keep going with your years of experience, the number of jobs you're a fit for shrinks. It shrinks, folks, when we talk about that actual fit. there's that Goldilocks principle, too little, too much, just right. That's what employers are trying to do, find the just right fit. So how many people here have been told that they were overqualified? And you wanted to respond back, how is that a thing? You're either qualified or you're not qualified. However, in the mind of an employer, they want the just right fit. They don't want you to have too much of experience because their fear, and it's a valid fear, is that you'll get bored or something better will come along and you'll leave. And then they're stuck hiring again. And I've had people say, that's not true, JT. I just want a job at this level and I'll be fine. Human nature is to grow. That is who we are. So if you can't make the most amazing argument to explain how you're growing in all these other areas and you don't need to be growing in your career, nobody's going to buy it. That is the situation. They're looking for the just right fit, and your fit has gotten smaller over time with more experience, which comes with more age. Now, let's continue this thought process. Let's gain more perspective here. Let's talk about the talent pool bell curve. So the talent pool bell curve is where, let me bring that up. We look at the generations in the marketplace, in the talent pool. So you can see that Gen Z is just entering the marketplace. You can see millennials are reaching their pinnacle of all of them being in the workforce, with the oldest of them being in their 40s now, coming into 40. I might have a few on here. And then you see us Gen Xers, me, only 46 million of us coming down the other side. And then you see the baby boomers. Now, it was interesting. I was just on a call prior to this, and the individual said, I heard that the baby boomers are still the largest, group in the market because they're all delaying their retirement. Well, that can be true. A lot of people are delaying their retirement, wanting to work longer, but that doesn't stop the other generations from coming up the talent pool curve. And this is where it gets more challenging and more competitive. And let's take a look at that. Now put the pyramid of job fit together with the talent pool bell curve, and you see the problem. Baby boomers, you used to be the people with the experience, most experience. You were in that perfect sweet spot. Gen X came along. It got a little bit more competitive. Now the millennials are on the scene. So this is what I mean about that competitiveness. It's there. And we're going to get into it in a second about the fact that, okay, JT, so now you have a whole bunch of millennials and maybe some Gen Xers who are, the managers in charge, but they're not hiring any of us baby boomers. And that's age discrimination. It can be. But the other fact is that there's just plenty of other people who have the same skill sets, who are more likely a just right fit, not overqualified, right? And who this job will be a fit for, and they won't want to leave, in a year or two, or they won't want to leave if something better comes along, or they'll be looking to learn and grow. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just want everyone to have some perspective around this, because the good news is I'm going to show you what to do. But the first step is not saying, hey, it's age discrimination and I can't win. Because every single generation and every age group has their problem when it comes to job search. Look to the person to the right of you or the left, and they have their own challenge. So, this is a challenge. It's not a piece of cake. If it was, then I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be here. But if you can accept that and say, okay, that's my reality, now let's work with it. That's the difference. Because this is not going to go away. This is what it is. It's not going to change, and we need to recognize that. Okay? So you see that? Your opportunities have gotten smaller. You're against, yes, people that are younger than you, but are fitting in there, in that space, in that just right space. So very hard to hear, not fun to be the person to deliver the news, but I wouldn't deliver this news if I didn't have a solution. Okay, 20 years of doing this, I have a solution. It's not like this thing is new. This is what's done for every generation. At one point in time, your generation was on the other side of the curve and grabbing all the choice opportunities. And people on the other side of the curve were dealing with what you're dealing with now. This has been going on, and I don't see it ever stopping, at least in the near future. This is just how it rolls as we age and as more generations enter the workforce. Okay, so enough on gaining perspective. We're going to recognize that. We're going to illuminate the goal. This one's easy. It's literally one slide. Here's the thing I want you to all ask yourselves. This is the career satisfaction spectrum. You have to ask yourself where you are on it, and I want you, if you're comfortable, to post the number. So at the low end is crisis. I'm feeling overwhelmed, like a failure. I'm deeply unhappy. Then there's cynical. Employers and work are terrible. There's no such thing as a good job anymore. Then there's phase 3, complacent. Work is work. I go in, I do my job, I get out. Then there's phase 4. I want a career I enjoy that also provides work-life balance. And then there's phase 5. I'm a workplace renegade. I feel in full control of my career. I feel full ownership of my control. I'm an independent. I might work with a company. It might be a full-time job, but I have got this. I'm an independent. I know my value. I know my worth. So where do you fall on that? I'm going to guess that I'm probably not going to see a whole lot of 5s here. Are you a 1 in crisis? Are you a 5? Are you confident? Oh, we got a couple of 5s. I got a couple of 4s. Interesting. Here's my thing. Is it real confidence or is it bravado? Because if you're thinking that you have age discrimination, then you can't be at 5. You can't be at 5, folks. If you think age discrimination is holding you back, and you may not even be at 4, because your mindset right now around a limitation is saying that you don't have complete control. You get that? That's neurolinguistic programming. That's the technical term. That's when the negative self-talk is there making assumptions that is limiting your ability. Okay, so I want you to think about that, because you can't say 5 if you think age discrimination is what's holding you back. I would even argue you're not really at a 4, and I've got a lot of 4s being posted here right now. But we're going to fix that. I want you to recognize this. You have control over how you see this and how you do this. And so once you've figured out that control and you know how to leverage things, you are going to take that power back. We're going to get everyone to a 5. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, good. All right. That's illuminating the goal, plain and simple. My goal with all of you is to get you to a real 5, a legit 5. So that gets me into own your actions. And this is where the accountability sets in. Now, I'm going to say this, and I can't take credit for it. I want to give a shout out to my writing partner, Dale Doughton. We've been writing a column together, a newspaper column, if you can believe that, for many years together. And he's the one that said, I remember the first time I was chatting with him, he said, hiring is discrimination. And I thought, you're so right. You know, we get it down to 5 candidates and we still have to discriminate who we're going to hire. Hiring is discrimination, no matter what. I guess another way to look at it is this: people hear what they see. Famous quote by the actor Doris Day. People hear what they see. So why do I want you to think about owning your actions? The number one reason I see people over the age of 40 struggling has to do with their career tools and how they've been approaching the job search. Their job search strategy is dated, and it shows, and it works against them. So owning your actions is about knowing what aspects of the job search to tweak, to evolve, right? I talked about earlier, having you continually learn and evolve in order for people to hear what they see. So we've got to change it. So you're going to see in a moment what I mean by that. A lot of you are putting stuff out there and doing things that by definition are making you look desperate, making you look narcissistic, making you look old school, making you look difficult. You'll be difficult to work with. I know nobody on here thinks they are sending that message or wants to send that message. There's not a single person on here that wants to do that. But the tools that I see when people are saying they've got age discrimination and they're using certain tools tend to be lacking emotional intelligence and lacking intellectual humility. And that's where you are unknowingly going wrong in your job search. So let's talk about that a little bit. So now, before I go into these 3 things that you need to fix, please understand, I don't have time today to show you what the right resume should look like, show you these other things, but please stay because I have the free resources for you to go see this stuff, right? I'm really trying to keep this to a 30-minute presentation and then get to your questions. So understand, when I say simplify your resume, I'm talking about stripping out all that subjective hype. So when we say get rid of your objective statement, we mean it. That paragraph at the top that says, innovative self-starter with 20 years experience working in multiple brands, that is hype and that looks narcissistic. Not to mention, it doesn't get read. And hopefully there's some recruiters on here who will back me up. There's a reason that they say that your resume should be skimmable by 6 seconds. The human eye works in a Z pattern, left to right, down and across. Recruiters skim your resume. If they can't see the basic information that they need in the 6 seconds, you're going in the I'll get back to it pile, and they usually never get back to it. But more importantly, if they see something they don't need, they put you in the no pile. So if you've got all sorts of extra information in there, too many bullet points, so much going on that it has to be in 9-point font in order to get it to 3 pages, you've got a problem. And this is where it gets painful because there are a lot of resume writers out there that are charging a fortune to design a resume to make you feel better about yourself that does nothing for your job search as an older worker. Because they create this resume that makes you feel all impressive. They hype you, use fancy language, and you feel so good. And then you send it out and nobody's responding to you because it's not written the right way. It was written because you paid them a lot of money to make you feel good. Recruiters want a simplified resume. And I'm going to give you a true story. I'm working with somebody, an executive, and she followed my advice, stripped down her resume, took all the stuff out that didn't need to be there. And we got to the just right aspect, right? Not too little, not too much, just right. She got a call from a recruiter, and the recruiter said to her, I need to speak to you because it looks like you might be a fit, but there's not enough information on your resume, so I need to speak to you. I'm going to stop right there. That is when you ring the bell, folks. Ding, 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 ding. When it's just right, they have to call you to get more information. So then, of course, she got on the phone with the recruiter, and whenever the recruiter asked her a question, she was able to tailor her answers to what they needed, and she's now getting an interview. This is what you need to do at this age. When you're young, do you remember when you first graduated from school and you were trying to make up stuff to put on a resume so it didn't, it took up more than 1/3 a page? You were just trying to make it look like it almost filled a page. You had 2-inch margins. You're using 14-point fonts. Every school activity was listed. And then all of a sudden you started to get experience, and suddenly it was like, wow, I have a lot of experience. Let me put everything on there. I hear this all the time. Well, if I put everything on there, then they'll find what they need. It's not how it works. You have to strip it down, simplify it, and get them to call you because they need more information. Also, stripping it down shows that intellectual humility I was talking about. You don't look like a narcissist when you get just to the facts. You look low key, and that's more attractive than somebody that's trying too hard. So that's the first thing you need to fix. Second thing is keyword optimizing LinkedIn. You might think that you've got a really nifty looking LinkedIn profile. You've got this jazzy headline. You've written this amazing summary that's 5 paragraphs long in the third person. And then you've just put your work history with no bullet points. Pretty much the worst LinkedIn layout that you can do. For starters, your headline is the prime real estate. Recruiters pay thousands of dollars a year on LinkedIn for search technology to search on keywords. And you know what they search on? Skill sets. The skill sets they were told to look for in order to get the job. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're a project manager, digital marketing, customer service, accounting, maybe there's a technology you use. If whatever those hard skills are that they were told the person has to have to even be considered, that's what they're searching on. And if it's in your headline, you rank higher in the search results. Not to mention, they see it in the headline and go, oh, that person has check, 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 the things that I was told to look for. Let me take a look at their profile. Again, you're serving up the LinkedIn profile to help the recruiter skim it. All it is a digital version of your resume. So you're going to hear other LinkedIn experts tell you to make it interesting, and give them a story. it doesn't get you found. What's the point? It doesn't get you found. You need to have a keyword optimized LinkedIn profile, not too little, not too much. And there's a whole process for that that you can follow. And the beautiful part is when you learn to do the resume the way we teach you, which by the way, 73% of recruiters said they prefer our resume template. Again, I'm going to show you where to go get that. Then you take all that information and you optimize your LinkedIn profile with it. And time and again, I have people who have said they weren't able to get any jobs. All of a sudden, they update their profile in this format, and now recruiters are finding them. So this is something you need to learn to do. I know you're not excited about it, but I'm talking about an hour of your time. This is a skill you want to learn. How much is it worth to you? Getting that job, what you're going to make in salary, a little bit of time learning how to do these things is going to be so worth it. Please don't outsource it. Nobody knows you better than you. And as I mentioned earlier with resumes, when you outsource it, all they're doing is looking to make you feel better about yourself. I want you to do this for yourself so that you can go in and adjust it as needed, because it's a constant adjustment, as I said. All right, now the third thing, changing your approach in interviews. And this is one that I have a class, which I'll mention at the end. And in it, I have a specific video for over 40. In interviews today, you have to change how you answer questions. When you started out in your career and you had no experience, it was all about the enthusiasm because you knew you lacked experience. As you gained experience, you got into interviews and you did a lot better because you could actually cite examples of work that you did. But now you have all this experience and you're excited. You get into these job interviews and you think it is your job to show them that you are a jack or Jill of all trades, that you can do it all. Because in your mind, how amazing is that? They're getting somebody with all this experience. And so we do that. We go in really enthusiastic. We're telling them we've done this and we can do that. We can do this. We can do that. And then they tell you that you're overqualified. And you're thinking, what does that mean? I'm either qualified or not qualified. I'm qualified. Overqualified is code for you're too much. You're too much. Based on the interview, right? And what you're saying to me, you're coming across as a know-it-all. You're going to be difficult to change or train because you're going to want to do it your way, right? And again, you're not going to be happy in this job. So they'll say to you, oh, I don't think you're going to be happy in this job. You're overqualified. That's code for too much. This was too much. You need to learn how to tone it way back. You need to know how to show them that, look, yes, I have this experience, but I have a lot more I want to learn. And you have the job. You already work here. I don't. You have to change your attitude and your approach in these interviews to be more conversant, to ask more questions. In fact, one of my favorite things that I coach people over the age of 40 on is ask, don't tell. Stop telling everybody what they need to know. Ask them questions that will get them to that answer. And that's what we teach you. We teach you how to ask questions in the interview and let them talk about their pain and their struggles and what they need in a person. And you agitate that pain and you make sure they really talk about it so that then you can talk about a tailored experience and how you're a specialist. Let me give you an example. You are all have lots of experience. So if you needed heart surgery, would you want to work with a surgeon that's, maybe done it once, has done a bunch of different surgeries, but maybe has done it once or twice? Or would you want to work with a surgeon who is a heart surgeon who's done this surgery multiple times, many, many, many times? The obvious answer is the surgeon. In the beginning of this, I said that you need to show them, if you're in the top of the pyramid, that you're a specialist. I realize that you all have lots of skills, but you lead in the interview process by focusing on their biggest pain and their biggest problem and making sure they talk about it a lot so that then you can say, oh, I get it. Yes, I've had experience with that. Let me tell you about this time and that time, because now you're showing them that you'll solve the problem and alleviate the pain. And that's when your age doesn't matter anymore. If anything, it plays in your favor. But when you go in and you don't get that from them and you just start answering everything, right, and telling them this or that, you look like you're all over the board. You don't look like a specialist. You don't look like you're listening, and you look like you're going to be a challenge. I know that's really hard for people to hear. And I know that's not what anybody intends. We're so excited that we have this experience and how valuable a contributor we can be. But they're the customer, and the customer is trying to deal with a very specific pain point and is trying to make the decision of who can actually deliver on that pain. So you need to pull it back, right? You need to ask questions. You need to let them talk. You need to only give them the information that they need so that you can really prove, no, I'm, not that older worker that's going to come in here and bulldoze everybody. Keep in mind, whether you like it or not, again, I've been saying that phrase a lot lately. If they're younger than you, then yes, they're thinking about, are you going to be like my parents? I've been trying to get out from under my parents forever. So if you're going to come in and act like my parents, I don't need more of that. I have parents. You want to remove that perception. You don't want to be that persona. You want to be a collaborative persona. You want to be a peer. You want them to see you as equals, right? You want to recognize them and support them. So you have to change your approach in these job interviews, folks, if you want to make that connection so that they aren't thinking about that and aren't associating you necessarily with their parents. And I know I'll get pushback and I'm probably going to get a lot of nasty comments. That's just not fair, JT. But I'm going to say at one point in time, you were the younger one. This is the reality. So you can either get upset about it, which I don't think any of you would be here if you were going to take that stance. I actually believe you want the solutions, or we can work with it. We can fix the resume. We can fix the LinkedIn profile. And when we finally get the interview, we can fix our interview approach. If you don't believe me, I've worked with thousands of people on this and watched them go. I had somebody recently, 7 interviews, didn't get a single job offer. As soon as we had this, she recognized immediately what she was doing wrong in those interviews. Boom, no problem. So these are the things. And it's scary for us because we've worked so hard to be right. We've worked so hard to get where we are. What you're fearing is I'm wrong. I'm failing or I'm wrong. You're not. None of you are. It's just things change. When you get to this point, you need different information, different tactics, different tools. That's all. We just can't stop learning and growing. We have to keep doing this. And it is a frightening feeling. I get it, because we wonder, am I being irrelevant? Is it never going to fix itself? It will. It will. But you have to be open to the fact that things need to change in your approach. Okay. And the last thing I want to mention here is that executives, if you're an executive, right? Because I know I have a lot of professionals on here today, but I probably also have some executives, like C-suite situation, VP and hired, director, global director, that sort of thing. You need to know that if you want to keep your career on that trajectory, so you really want to be in there, you have an extra step. And that's a reputation management strategy, because what's coming, it's already here, but within the next 2 years, you'll see it. If you want to be at any kind of upper level, then you're essentially an influencer within your company. And that means you're going to have to manage your reputation, do what I call executive presence. You've also heard of it as personal branding, but a lot of people don't like that phrase. You are actually going to have to build a brand strategy. You are a business of one, a very expensive one, that is a visible asset to your organization. So you're going to see in the next 2 years that people need this brand on platforms like LinkedIn. And that's going to be a requirement. Now, the upside to that is that if that's the direction you want to go and you want to be an executive and you want to command big dollars and have opportunities coming at you, then this reputation management strategy is vital, because what happens is, because you're scaling your depth of knowledge and you're putting it out there, they come to you. So it's how you can literally attract the opportunities that you want. Because what did I say? Go back to the pyramid that I showed you earlier. At the executive level, it's about this big in the top of the pyramid. You are heavily competing. It is major, major leagues with new competition coming up every day, right? That can push you out of the major leagues. So if you don't have an excellent reputation management strategy to stay relevant, then you could be at risk of, being knocked out of that. So I just want to make sure, and I have a resource for you on that as well. Okay, is this making sense, everyone? Fine, we're at the work it daily phase. So I just want to go through that quickly. So I told you that I have resources for you that can help you with this. If you're in agreement with me that you just need to learn some new things, you need to change your strategy a little bit, then I can help you. We can help you. If not, then I think you're just going to be stuck here, because you have to do something different in order to fix this challenge. So what can you do to work it daily? Well, the first thing is to join our free coaching community. So we literally formally announced this just a few weeks ago. 1,000 new people a week have been joining. My goal is to have 1 million people inside this private community by the end of the year. So it's free to join, and it's a coaching community. It's where you transform yourself. It's where you can learn, where you can share things that you're working with. I have an entire space inside here called it's called Ageproof Job Search. And it's specifically for all of you. So you can sign up today for free, instant access, go to the free resources section and go right to the Ageproof Job Search section. We're putting resources in there for you. Our coaches are managing it. There's discussion. So you really can start to work through this stuff, okay? That's where we can take this conversation we're having today and take it private, take it off LinkedIn. That is why I built this platform, because you can't do that here on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so valuable. It is the yellow pages for our personal brands. It's our digital resumes. It does a lot of amazing things, but giving you a place to career coach is not one of them. And that's why my team and I built this. So step one is go to Work It Daily, sign up, and go right to the free resources and become part of the Ageproof job search group. And let's get on it together, okay? We can do that. Number two, I just launched my new book. It came out on Monday and on Amazon. It's been up for 2 days, and it's called Awakening Your Inner Workplace Renegade. And it's funny. I had somebody say, oh, is it anti-employer? No. Employers want to hire workplace renegades. Workplace renegades are people who are number 5 on the career satisfaction spectrum, who are a true number 5. Completely in control, know what they want, don't want to work for a company. They want to work with a company. They want to be a partner. You are working with some seriously outdated sets of rules. Our entire society is. 20 years of research, and these are the 7 new rules. So you go read this book and you learn the 7 new rules, and you are going to change. Honestly, you're going to, again, your job is going to be age proof because you're going to be working with the new rules. The new rules are going to change your game for you. It's new technique. So please go over and check out the book, Awakening Your Inner Workplace Renegade. You can get on Kindle Unlimited. You read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm asking everybody to use the hashtag Workplace Renegade to share your aha moments around this, because I want to start a total revolution. I want the workplace evolution to happen now. Employers need to change, and they are changing, but they can't be the only part of the equation. We need to change as workers. We need to throw out all these old rules that society is using that is creating these problems. We need to look at it differently, and that's what this book does, okay? So join our free community. Check out my book. You can read it for free on Amazon Kindle. And then there's the third thing. If you really need help, we have courses. We have premium courses. These courses are video-based with templates and tutorials and everything that you need inside our community that you can access, instant access to get the help you need. So we have a Transform Your Job Search course where I teach you everything about your resume and your LinkedIn profile and your cover letter. We have an interview prep plan, which has everything you need to know about the interview, including how to act appropriately if you're over the age of 40, that ask, don't tell strategy. These are all inside of our courses. And you can check all of those out at Work It Daily as well. So we've got free resources inside the platform for you, the book, and these courses. And I think you see it. The courses are so inexpensive. Folks, all I did was set up these courses to cover our costs. I'm not out there charging like some of these gurus who tell you it's $799 for your course, this one course. These courses literally are built just to cover our cost because we have to host them. We have to put them somewhere. We have to support them. So, but I'm telling you, they're game changing. This is the stuff that's going to change your entire strategy. And then the last thing, if you're an executive, and I talked about that fact that you need the reputation management, I did a 3-hour training on it for free. And here's why. I can't work with thousands of executives. I have an executive program and I only allow 500 people in it. And I just started it last July. And when we hit 500 people, it's closed. People will go on a wait list because I cannot work with them on their reputation management more than that. So if you want to learn more about reputation management at the executive level, I have a free training over on my website. It's 3 hours. I'm bracing you now because I get into the down and dirty of executive branding on your resume, executive branding on LinkedIn, executive branding on your social media feeds. I get way deep in the weeds for you so that you can understand what you need to do. And it's also a way for you to figure out if you want to work with someone like me. But you don't have to. I've had people say that I should be charging for it, and I don't, because I don't have time to help and do calls with all of you. So I would rather give this away so that you can just figure it out and run with it, because there's just way too many people that need this help right now. So if you're an executive, you can go check that out. All right, so here's where all those resources are. The free coaching platform. I expect to see all of you in there. That's the first step. Go right to the Ageproof Your Job Search free resource. Get in there. Get access to all that stuff, okay? The book, I hope you do it. I'm really trying hard to spread the word. I want, Awakening Your Inner Workplace Renegade to be the manifesto of the workplace evolution. I want it to be our manifesto. I want that booklet in everybody's hands. So I hope you check it out. The courses, Job Search Bundle, Interview Prep Plan, they're game changers. And then lastly, the executive training. You'll find that in the executive tab over on Work It Daily. If you go there, and you'll be able to dramatically improve your reputation if you're an executive, because again, you are going to be the face, the influencers of your industry and your companies in the next 2 years. That's where companies are going. I'm talking, you need to be on video and all this other stuff. So if that scares the daylights out of you, please go watch this free training. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop there and I'm going to take questions. Did that make sense to everybody? First of all, before I start taking questions, a couple of things. Put the word question in all caps first. And that way I can see what your question is and bring it up on the screen. Okay, so put question in all caps and ask your question. Secondly, I would love to hear your aha moment. What's the one thing you heard today that you're going to take and internalize about age discrimination and ageism in job search? What's the aha moment? What's the thing that you can think differently about? I want to see that in the comments, okay? Really important to me. Okay, very good. Let's see. What are the questions that I have? Do we have any questions? Are you guys going to make it easy on me? We'll see. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to, very good. No questions? Oh, you're being too easy on me. All right. It's interesting. I see a comment here from Robert. Robert says, I only ever had an objective statement in my resume when counselors told me that I had to have one. I'm not sorry at all to get rid of it. That's a good point. I'm glad to hear that. You know, all these college counselors that are still telling kids they need this drives me insane, drives me absolutely batty. You do not need it. It works against you. It literally dates you in your age because they know that people don't do that anymore. So I'm glad you said that, Robert. Good for you. Excellent. All right, I'm going to stop there because it looks like perhaps I might have lost some of you. I could be wrong. It looks like we might have lost the link with LinkedIn. So I might have lost a bunch of you on the stream. So we'll see if we can't get that back. I don't know if I can or I can't. Maybe you're there, maybe you're not. But if you don't have any questions, you're making this all heard. Okay, Gina, I love Gina's comment. First time I've ever heard not to do a professional statement. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're seeing that, Gina. Once again, there are people that, recruiters might come to you and say, put your professional statement together. Okay, but that's after they've seen your simplified resume and they need more information. So I can't stress that enough to you all. If somebody comes to you, if a recruiter comes and says, hey, I need more information, now you know you've done your tools right. Because if you give them too much information, you're making it easier for them to never come to you. And instead, they just pass on you and you never hear from them at all. That's why we've got to get this just right. So you're actually getting the call so that they clarify. Cannot stress that enough for all of you. Yeah. Wanda says, how do you make an interviewer tell their pain? That's an excellent question, Wanda. So it's that ask that don't tell. So the questions that you ask need to be what we call behavioral questions, open-ended questions. So you're going to say things like, tell me about how this job I'd be doing impacts your work. Tell me about what is keeping you up at night with respect to this project or this work. Tell me about your biggest goal for 2022 and how does this job help achieve it? So you want to think about the things, you want to think about where they might fail. And then based on that, you want to ask questions that help them reveal that potential failure. That's really where the key is. Does that make sense? Good question, by the way. Steve says, I'm getting interviews, but I fail when I get a live interview or I get passed over. So Steve, then that's telling me that it's something in the interview that you're doing. So somewhere in there, the perception is that you're overqualified or that you're potentially going to be too much. So it's just a strategy to change up how you present yourself in that. Because again, you got the interviews. So whatever they saw was right on LinkedIn or your resume. But then when they spoke to you, it didn't sync up with what they were expecting. So that's something that you would want to work on. But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Kumar says your LinkedIn profile gives your years of experience. How do you overcome that? You don't. You don't overcome that. Instead, what you do is you follow a plan of simplification in the headline and the summary, which is what we teach. And then your work history needs to be bullet points of quantifiable accomplishments only. I see way too many people putting either too much in their work history or nothing at all. What you need is just the facts to quantify, because then they're going to say, oh, wow, that's a really relevant experience, and the years don't matter as much. If they truly, Kumar, are going to look at you and say, oh, he's too old, I can see he's been working too long, then you don't want to work there anyways, because you're going to get the interview and they're still going to do that to you. But I would say if you've got experience that's more than 15 years old, unless it's so relevant that it has to be on there, you don't need to put the older experience on there anymore. You would only put on the most relevant last 15 years of experience, maybe 20 tops, depending on what you did. But that's the easiest way to have the years not matter. So Niels said, one recruiter said to copy and paste the entire requirement sections into your resume, but hide it in the font size and color. Good or bad? So bad, I can't even tell you, Niels. So bad to do. First of all, recruiters catch on to that. They can tell if there's white space, and they can potentially, ban you from ever getting hired from the company. They can put something in the file that says do not hire if they want to. Now, they wouldn't all do that, but that's gaming the system, and they find it just so disrespectful that it is not worth risk getting caught. Plus, it doesn't work. It's not going to change things. It's just going to overpopulate your resume. Zilay is asking, how does a normal resume differ in how it looks from an executive's resume? Is there max page limit? So what's really nice about that, Zilay, is the resume format that we teach, that we designed, it works for both professional and executive. It's just that an executive's will be a little longer. And for us, it's all about empty space. You want to create space on the page so that the skimmer of the resume can read it very quickly. So in an executive resume, it wouldn't surprise me if it was 3 pages long, because you had more to share, whereas a professional resume would probably be no more than 1.5 pages to 2. But you use the same format. It's just the executives will be a bit longer, as long as it's got the right amount of empty space to make it readable. Yeah, great question. Great question. All right. So I'm going to stop there. Did this make sense to everyone? Yes? No? Making sense? What do we think? Helpful? Hopefully helpful. I've given you a whole framework here of things that you can do to truly age-proof this. And I really, really hope you come join my free community and get inside the age-proof job search space and our free resources. Because you want to keep this conversation going in your mind. If we're going to change the negative self-talk that's going on, if we're going to reprogram you to think about this and to get these things done, you need momentum. You can't do this by yourself. So if you hang up today from this live session and you're all alone and you don't get any help, you're not going to get anywhere. At the very least, you need to come together with a group of people. Just being here today and seeing other people who are going through it, getting in a group and allowing trained professionals to work you through this is going to be how you get to the next level. Coaching is not a sign of weakness. It's a path to greatness. Let me say that again. Coaching is not a sign of weakness. It's a path to greatness. But you have to embrace it, and you have to decide at your age, and I can say that you realize you've got to gain perspective, illuminate the goal, own your actions, and work it daily. You've got to work the GLOW process for as long as you want to work in a job. Otherwise, you're going to continue to slide backwards. And that's, it's hard for me to say that, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And I just know, having done this for 21 years now, that this is what it takes. And I practice what I preach. So I know that all of this works. So whether you're a professional or an executive, I really hope you take me up on a bunch of these free resources, super low cost resources, because I believe in you and I really want to help people get through this, and put age discrimination behind them and get that job and find that happiness again. And it can be done. We're doing it every single day inside the Work a Daily platform. Okay. All right, team. All right. I'm going to stop there and say, you know what? Message me. If you've got questions, you need clarification, you know where to, you can just message me on LinkedIn or go to our support page, get inside the platform, message us there. We're here to help. Like I said, we're here to lead the workplace evolution. We're going to do it one workplace renegade at a time. And I hope you decide to become a workplace renegade and join the workplace evolution with me. Okay? Awesome. All right. You all are the best. I hope to see you soon on another live stream. Thank you, everyone, so much. Take care. Bye-bye.